Hello again, everybody. Welcome to You Bet CaneSport with Lee Sterling, our weekly look at the Miami Hurricanes from the betting perspective. I'm Gary Furman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined by Lee Sterling himself, the wizard of prognostication. But Lee, these Miami Hurricanes are becoming a very tough nut to figure out. Forget the Georgia Tech deal. We won't go back to that. But last week, sitting in North Carolina, I was there in Chapel Hill. You're feeling pretty good at halftime, even though they screwed up a little bit, up by 3 at intermission. Seem to have things in a pretty good place. And then they just get blown off the field in the third quarter. Give up three touchdowns, 21-0, 2 turnovers, and boom, voila, just like that, the game was gone. And so this week provides its own interesting challenge, aside from that, in the fact that you have the Clemson Tigers coming into Hard Rock Stadium. They have 2 losses, but it's a Clemson team that you can't overlook for sure. They got a lot of talent on that roster, and the people in your business, the odds makers, have not. Okay, they have made Clemson a 3.5-point road favorite coming into Hard Rock Stadium. Talk to us about your views on that game,
Gary. We couldn't overlook Slippery Rock right now. We're talking about how fragile this team is.
Yes.
I mean, it could get worse. I mean, maybe the most frustrating thing was, Gary, that we saw in one half what we could become. And we could have gone on the road and we should have won that game. We were the better team. 3 guys bothered me a lot. Leonard Taylor, where has he been?
Nowhere.
He wants to be an NFL player. You know what? If I'm the coach, I set an example and I'm like, listen, you don't want to play up to your potential? I'll put in 1 or 2 different guys who play hard. I've seen him since high school, Palmetto. He should be much better and play much harder than he does. Corey Flagg, I think he sucks. I just got to be honest with you. He takes wrong angles all the time, Gary. I would go with someone else there. I mean, we've seen what he has to offer, and it's just not good enough. And then we always knew that the cornerbacks were probably going to get exposed. And finally, we saw what a future NFL wide receiver does to guys that are 3rd and 4th at best cornerbacks on other teams. And I'm talking about Couch. Corey Couch looked awful.
And Jaden Davis, who plays hard, makes some plays in the run game, not very good in pass coverage. And the safeties have been letting them down too, Lee, with bad decisions, busted coverages. And I don't know, man, the combination has put this team in quite a pickle here over just a rapid pace 7-day span. We've gone from 4-0 to 4-2. I agree with you. They could be 6-0 right now. They really could. I mean,
and I'll say this also. You probably won't hear this from anyone else. Even before Henry Parrish fumbled, I don't think he's the guy that takes you the distance here. I think he's a nice backup.
Complimentary backup.
Yeah. Yes. We're playing, our top 2 guys are nice backups. Give someone else a shot, that can light a spark in this team. Nothing about, I mean, it was a fluke that he fumbled, probably. Just happened, didn't take care of the ball. But it's a combination of things. And if they lose this game, and I think they are, I mean, we could see this team go into a free fall. And then you got the situation like A&M. Texas A&M, they're starting to lose recruits this week. We start losing recruits next week. So this is the most important game, I think, on the schedule. We could say it was last week, but now you lose this game. What are you playing for? Almost nothing. And we could lose a bunch more games. And a bunch more recruits. And as we've always talked about, recruiting is the lifeblood, of the program. I think Clemson's good, but it's not really about them. They're going to run the ball. They're going to try to take your heart out. They do a power running game. They're not a great passing team yet. They don't have any receivers that scare you. Klubnik, I thought, was going to be better. It's those 2 running backs and good defensive line. So I like Clemson here. I think they win this game 30-20.
Well, that's a little distressing to hear. The pickings have been slim the last couple of weeks at running back for Miami with Mark Fletcher hurt.
Yeah.
That really weakened the position quite a bit, taking him out of the rotation. Now you're relying on Parrish and Chaney much more. You tried to put Jay Allen in there against North Carolina. He gets blown up in pass pro.
Right.
That was they had to take him right out. I mean, that was ugly.
But it was the coaching staff's fault to put him in there in a pass pro protection. He should be there.
Yeah, you gotta figure they realize that he's not good in pass pro. But I agree with you on Parrish. He's a backup. Don Chaney to me is a backup. So now you have two backups trying to be frontline guys.
Gary, good backups, and you got to have depth. But
good backups. Yeah,
you want to be. Like I said, Fletcher's the guy. We identified that.
Fletcher. He's a true freshman. Yeah. True freshman, they've missed him quite a bit. I think there is a chance that he will be back this week. We will see. Obviously Mario Cristobal.
I hope I'm wrong, Gary. I hope I'm wrong.
Well,
and I hope that's the only game of the three that I miss here. I'm looking for a reason to back Miami, and in that second half, it was depressing.
The run defense was depressing, and that's why I think you're going to see people picking Clemson this week. As you noted, they have a decent run game, good offensive line. They are going to come. They are going to watch the way North Carolina ran the ball last Saturday, and they are going to come into Hard Rock looking to pound the rock.
Here's what's crazy. What took teams so long to identify our weaknesses? We talked about them at the beginning of the year, but it took them this long. It took them until the second half of the North Carolina game. Maybe most of these teams weren't very good, and we played well. We played really well against Texas A&M, and turns out now all of a sudden they're falling apart. They're not coached real well. So it's going to be interesting. It's gut check time.
I agree with you. Yeah, gut check time is an appropriate word, and I agree with you on the significance of this game. 12 of the last 17 Miami teams, Lee, have lost 3 games in a row, and this would be the 13th if they lose on Saturday. And
the theme, you know what the theme was? I looked to my wife. The theme should be, well, after watching that game, whereas as I was watching it, here we go again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It has, and it's amazing. It took a mistake, a very, very, very big mistake by Mario Cristobal that now has suddenly set off a free fall that you are now trying to hold off on Saturday.
We're going to find out how good a coach he is.
Well, there's a difference. There's a difference between sitting here at 5-1 right now and 4-2 with Clemson coming in. Let's be honest. I mean, you're sitting there 4-3 after Clemson. Then you go Virginia and at NC State, at Florida State. I mean, you still do have a little bit of time to sort of right the ship before you go into Tallahassee.
A little bit of time. We got a couple days. That's it. Yeah, a few days.
But I mean, you do diminish everything if you lose this third straight game. And
this is where coaches earn their money. This game right here. You're going to find out now Mario is known as a good motivator. We're going to find out how good he is.
Yeah, I don't think the kids will quit. I was just a little bit distressed. I think the little things are falling through the cracks. Obviously the not taking a knee at the end of the game should never have happened. Even if, Mario never explained why he did it. But
did you hear the interview right before the start of the game? And that bothered me a little bit.
I did not. I was at
okay. So if you tape the game, look at it right when it comes on within the first couple minutes, they interviewed him, asked him about the Georgia Tech, what happened. And he said that it was I don't want to quote him exactly, but something along the lines was it was a complete failure by the staff. You know what? If I'm the head coach, I say it's my fault.
Correct.
So.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I would be disappointed if that's what he said. He shouldn't have said that. But look, I mean, this thing has gotten away, and the thing that concerned me was that they weren't prepared last week for the hurry up that North Carolina was running, and guys weren't getting lined up, and they weren't getting the signals in, and there was a lot of chaos.
It was like a first game. It was like a first game.
That was a problem, to me that really bothered me a lot, I mean, because, if they watched the game the week before, they knew that North Carolina was going to do that. And just couldn't let it slip away like that. So it was disappointing. But now we have a new week. That's the great thing about football season. There's always the next week, and you got Clemson coming in. And Lee, you've watched Clemson for many, many years. Where do you feel this Clemson team is falling short in relation to the teams of the past?
Except for the running backs and defensive line, almost everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
even their special teams, they should have beaten Florida State. 2 plays to find that game. The fumble return for a touchdown. You have a pick six or a fumble return when you're on the other team's side. That's a 14-point switch right there. And then the missed field goal. I mean, a chip field goal. They're known for having usually good special teams. So, they're having a problem. They're not doing the little things either. So, big game for both teams.
So, for Miami, this is an opportunity because it's still Clemson, and beating Clemson gives you some credibility. So, so that's that's a good thing. All right, so you say Clemson minus the 3.5 in that one. You don't feel strongly about Miami's chances of bouncing back here. Couple other big games I wanted to ask you about. Florida State is minus 14 at home against Duke. A Duke team that has been a bit of a surprise in college football this year. FSU trying to hang on to their grip at the top of the ACC. How do you see that game playing out?
Well, the biggest thing is Riley Leonard. We don't know his status. So if he plays, I'm going to wait until 5, 10, 20 minutes till they definitely say he's playing or not playing. I'm only playing it if he is playing. If he's playing, I'm taking the points here, even if it goes down to 12.5, 13 points. Why? Here's something crazy. People think of Florida State, usually numbers support where you're ranked, where what your record is. Florida State, number 24 in offense. Okay, that's decent. You would have thought that they were 12, 15, 20th at the worst. Okay, 24th. But they're ranked 56th on defense. So the numbers aren't real good. And you will rarely see a team not in the top 20 or top 30, at least on one side of the ball this late in the season or midseason. Duke, number 16 in total defense and number 4 in scoring defense. I think they're going to slow down the game, Gary. They don't want to have 12, 14, 15 possessions. If that happens, they're in trouble. They're going to wait and snap it with 2, 3 seconds to go. And if Riley Leonard plays, I think they're going to stay in this game. I got FSU winning 27-20. I'll take the 14 points now.
Interesting. And, just referring back to Miami, Miami's number 7 in the country in offense, number 18 in the country in defense. But the 2 losses, they don't have the record to show for it that they probably should. Okay, the other game I wanted to ask you about, Manny Diaz, Lee, has maybe the top defense in college football this year at Penn State. As amazing as that was, Manny proving to be a pretty decent defensive coordinator, was not a great head coach, as we know. He's got Ohio State this weekend. They have to go to the shoe and play Ohio State. Ohio State is a 4.5-point favorite. How do you see that game playing out?
So 2 first-year quarterbacks, which is interesting. Rarely do you see that in this matchup. Seems like they usually have guys that have been there 2, 3 years minimum. Kyle McCord for Ohio State looked great in that fourth quarter against Notre Dame, but did not look good in the first 3 quarters. In fact, I think he only threw for something like 56% completion percentage in that game, only 6.5 yards per attempt. Also, going to face a Penn State really tough defense, as you mentioned. They're number 1 or number 2 in almost every major statistical category. How about this? Ohio State ranked 92nd in rush defense. You think of them as having really good line play on the offensive and defensive line. Defensive line, not the same. And their offensive line, they are not, as far as when I'm watching tape of them, not holding their blocks and not getting to the next level a lot of times, whether it's a guy pulling out or a running back taking that linebacker and driving him out, not seeing the same type of performance from the offensive line and the fullbacks and the blocking backs that we've seen in the past, and even the receivers blocking downfield. So that bothers me a little bit. They've got some guys banged up, the offensive backfield playing, but banged up here. I think Kyle McCord for Ohio State is going to have to really be on if they want to win this game. Ohio State's won 9 of 10 games in this rivalry, but I think Penn State finally gets their revenge here. Wrong team favorite. Penn State outright, 31-24.
Interesting. So take Penn State and those 4.5 points. You can even go Penn State on the money line in that one. If you want to ride the wisdom of Lee Sterling. All right, Lee. I was remiss. I didn't put the banner up on the bottom of the screen at the beginning of the show. So I'm going to put it up there now for everybody. ParamountSports.com. 1-800-400-9741. What kind of specials do you have for everybody this week?
Well, in all transparency, we had our first losing week, the college football season. We went 6-8. Started with West Virginia. I should have known something was going wrong. The Hail Mary on Thursday night, and it was bookended on Sunday. I had New England +3, down 2, tackled in the end zone, safety. So could have been 6-8. I'm sorry, could have been 8-6, but it was 6-8. But that's why they call it gambling. Look to rebound. They want to get involved. You can try 2 weeks of my phone service. Call it not October, call it Locktober. 2 weeks through October 31st, 157, or the entire season through the Super Bowl, college and NFL. All the college bowl games, there's 44 of them this year. NFL playoffs and Super Bowl, just through 747. We've also got NBA, which starts on Tuesday. Hockey, which started a week and a half ago, and we're off to a great start there. And we got the UFC going on Saturday as a pay-per-view from Abu Dhabi. I think it starts at something like 11 or 12 o'clock Eastern. So look to get back on track there also. Everything's up and available. Also have a bunch of other videos. Got a video up of the Dolphins, seeing what they're going to do at Philly. That's a big game in the NFL. And you want to check out all those videos or read more about me and possibly sign up, just one place, ParamountSports.com.
All righty, Lee. Well, interesting weekend as they all are in football. They seem to just have a little bit of a life of their own. So it'll be interesting to see how the Canes do under the lights on Saturday night against Clemson. Hopefully you're wrong on that one and they rebound, but I do understand the pick. If I was detaching my heart and just handicapping the game on face value, I would be a little bit concerned, especially with Tyler Van Dyke banged up and so we'll see what happens. So for Lee Sterling, I'm Gary Furman. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of You Bet CaneSport with Lee Sterling, and good luck wagering this weekend, everybody. See you next time.